Good almost afternoon. It's Saturday, May 21st. I'm going to be leaving in a little while to do an open house. Everybody's welcome to come out for some free training, 12 to 2 at 1815 Morning Mist in Wiley. And I'll be talking briefly on how to do an open house. And then y'all are welcome to hang around. And as people walk in, you can have them as clients. Or you can leave. So open house training won't be 2 hours, but the open house will be 12 to 2, 1815 Morning Mist. So today is just Saturday sit down. I like to answer some of the questions that we had over the past week and do it inside of 10 minutes. So the first, I've got about 12 questions that I got over the last 7 days that I think are pretty important. One is, hey, what is that app, Doug, where you can do a net sheet? And again, even though Truly Title is our sponsor, I like to just make it simple. And there's an app called Chicago Agent, like the city, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago Agent, one word, space one, O-N-E. There's another one called Lawyers, like a lawyer, Lawyers Agent, space one. So Lawyers Agent or Chicago Agent, all one word, space one on the App Store. Download it, it's free, and mess around with it. It's not rocket science. Real estate is for the common person. But obviously, if you listen to that Eric Thomas video this morning, we got to be uncommon to be successful. You got to want it. It's got to matter to you. You got to get up and go, what can I do better today than I did yesterday? What can I do to get it done? And one thing is to download that app. I put it on GroupMe, all the apps I use and all the websites I use. We put every day on GroupMe or once a week, all the sponsors. You got to put those in your phone so you'll have them. So that's the app sheet. Over the last week, I got a question. Do you write earnest money on a cash offer? Hell yeah, you do. In this market, you're not going to get away with not having earnest money on any contract, most likely. You don't need earnest money to write an offer, but let's just get real. You're going to need it. A cash offer is no different than a conventional loan in that on a cash offer, you're going to need to show a proof of funds, so there'll be no third-party financing. You'll unmark that in 3B and in paragraph 22, and you won't have a third-party financing, but that means 3A and 3C will be the same amount. And it also means that paragraph 22, you'll unmark third-party financing, but you'll need a proof of funds letter. It's America. Buyers on cash or conventional or any financing could always decide the day before closing they're not going to buy it. So there's risk every time you make an offer. There is no guarantees in life. You can't guarantee life, much less that a buyer is going to go to closing no matter how strong the loan is, because the buyer could always change their mind. So earnest money is almost going to be a necessity, and you've got to make it as much as the buyer feels comfortable. There is no rule of thumb. There is no asking me. I won't know. You're going to have to know that yourself and just ask the buyer. And explain it to them that there could be an opportunity that money would be tied up at the title company if the title company required a release of earnest money signed by both buyer and seller, and the seller refused to sign it. Then the earnest money would be kind of kept at the title company until they get a negotiated settlement. So just know that earnest money, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Almost every offer is going to need it. Option, that's your call. You better let this buyer know that if you don't have an option, and there's no HOA, and they have the seller's disclosure, that there's really no right to terminate. So, you know, that's hopefully that answers that. I got a question over the week. How does it work on commission checks with leases? So the way it works, generally speaking, is there's going to be a percentage of the first month's rent that the landlord is going to make out to DHS Realty. They're going to mail it to my broker address. When I get it, it's a personal check, most likely drawn on their brokerage firm, made out to DHS Realty. I'm going to look on that check for an address and match it with back agent. So if you haven't put it in back agent, I'm not going to know whose check it is. And that's why I regularly put on GroupMe, either I have a check with no address on it, so I have no idea, even if it wasn't back agent, because I can't match the check because the broker didn't put the address it's regarding for me to match it in back agent, or I have the address on the check from the other broker or the landlord broker, and the agent hasn't put it in back agent yet. So that's why it's imperative that you go to DHS Realty's YouTube, go to playlist and watch all those 5 back agent videos, and go and watch all those 6 videos on MLS. And matter of fact, watch every video under the playlist and break it down. Say, hey, this month I'm going to do the back agent playlist. Hey, this month I'm going to do the MLS videos. But I've made it simple. DHS Realty, the YouTube page, go to playlist, just nail down a category each month. And if there's too many videos, then say, hey, for this last quarter, I'm going to watch 1 buyer video a day, because there's 90 videos and there's 90 days in a quarter, or close enough. Okay. So when that check gets here, it's drawn on it's drawn on the landlord's brokerage firm. And I don't wait for it to clear. I cut it the day I get it. I don't go to bed till midnight. I cut the checks, I text you, or I mail it out. Either way, if I mail it out, you're going to get it 8 days before most brokerage firms will get it to you, because most brokerage firm wait for it to clear, and I don't. I put enough funds in my brokerage account to clear it, and so I cut your check immediately. And if you're with the landlord, they will make the first month's rent, or the percentage of the first month's rent that equals what you and the other agent are getting, out to DHS Realty. If you're with the tenant, you're going to have to follow up with the landlord agent or the landlord broker and find out when they mailed that check. And when I get it, I match it with back agent and I cut your check. Okay. In order to actually get a check for a lease, you're going to have to send the W-2 of DHS Realty. That's on back agent under office documents and quick links. And you're also going to send something called an ABB, like Alpha Bravo Bravo. And it stands for Agreement Between Brokers Regarding Residential Leases. It's in your transaction documents, and I template it 50%. So if you're only getting 35, then you need to change it to 35. If you're getting 50, then leave it, because I template that. If you're getting 25%, change it to 25%. If you're getting $200, you'll mark the 3rd little box or the 2nd box where you can actually put a dollar sign and put $225. But all apartments and brokerages that represent landlords are going to want the W-2 of our brokerage firm, which is on back agent under office documents, and the Agreement Between Brokers, which is abbreviated as ABB. Somebody asked me over the weekend or over the last week, how would I negotiate repair allowance after the contract's executed? After the contract's executed, almost everything is done on an amendment. And that's also in your transactions under documents. So you will open up the amendment, and there's 9 paragraphs. 8 are pre-printed, and 9 is where you can type in something. Paragraph 1 is if you were lowering the price. Paragraph 2 is if you're asking for repairs. Paragraph 3 is if you're changing the closing date. Paragraph 4 is in lieu of repairs, you are paying the buyer's closing costs. So that's where you put in $3,000, $2,000, $4,000. If the seller was paying that in lieu of repairs for the buyer. If you have any question, the one that it matters the most to is going to be the lender and the title company. So call the title company or call the lender and go, hey, we're negotiating $4,000 in repairs for my buyer. Where do you want it? And if they say on an amendment, they mean paragraph 4. If somebody needs to change the title or change the legal description, if it's the title or the lender, you just ask them, how do you want it done? And if they say on an amendment, you need to say, can you email me the exact verbiage, and I'll just copy and paste it into paragraph 9 of the amendment. Okay, so that should cover that. Somebody asked, how does a buyer sign an LLC? Well, the LLC will be in paragraph 1. That will be the buyer or the seller. And then you'll have the initials and signatures of every officer in that LLC at the bottom of each page. Once it goes to the title company is going to want the documents and, you know, some more legal documents that show that that LLC is signed by the officers of it. All right. So if you're one of those LLC members, you need to put it in paragraph 8. Buyer agent has a interest in the LLC. Buyer is buyer's agent. Seller is seller agent. And then, of course, if you are yourself buying as an individual, in paragraph 8, or if whoever is buying or selling is a child, parent, spouse of yours. Okay. And that's going to be paragraph 8. I got this last week. Hey, it's my first closing. What do I do? The title company is asking me for a CDA. A CDA stands for Commission Disbursement Authorization. That's why you need to go to my YouTube page, DHS Realty, and go to playlist, and you will watch the 5 videos on Back Agent that are literally 4 or 5 minutes. It walks you through doing a CDA, and that's called a Commission Disbursement Authorization. Just know that when you do a CDA, that's basically the same thing as when an apartment or a landlord agent says, I need an invoice. It's the same concept. And on Back Agent, the playlist, YouTube, DHS Realty, YouTube, hit playlist, Back Agent, you watch those 5 videos, it talks about making an invoice and making a CDA. Just know you're always going to answer 5 yes questions and then hit submit before you're done. And it'll say it's been sent to management for review. I get it. It goes off on my phone. I'm pretty responsive. I go in and I okay it. I check it out and I send it to you almost instantaneously. I am a human and I am flawed. And so if I'm teaching, I'm not going to get to it the second it's done. So just know that you can send me a reminder, but have some grace and just say, hey, I just sent you a CDA, just letting you know. Boom, that's fine. But again, don't do a CDA the day of closing. You can submit the transaction the day it gets executed all the way through the end. And I'll just send the CDA early. So you don't have to do a CDA 2 days before closing, the day of. It can be done when everything is executed. Load it, submit it. Text me, hey, Doug, I just submitted a CDA. I'll approve it. I'll send it to you. I always copy the title company, always. If you get the CDA, I've sent it to the title company, and it can be sent however early before closing. So it doesn't have to be the day of or a week before, okay? That's the CDA. Somebody asked me if we have escalation clauses in Texas. What they mean is you make an offer for $100,000 and you tell the seller agent, hey, we'll go up $50 every offer you get that's better than ours. No, we don't do those. Escalation clauses we don't have. What you need to tell your buyer is, hey, you need to make your highest and best offer now, to where if we found out we lost this home over $1, you weren't going to go any higher. We're not going to know if the buyer lost the offer because we don't disclose terms when we get multiple offers. So that means it's on you to educate your buyer and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, we don't do escalation clauses here. So you need to make your highest and best offer today. If you want to know about highest and best offers, again, go to DHS Realty, go to playlist and go to buyers, scroll through the 90 plus videos. And I've got multiple videos on highest and best offer, how to do a contract in 4 minutes. And then of course, everything you're going to do, you send to me, I review it. I get it as soon as you send it and I review it. So you'll be golden there. Third-party financing. We've had some issues on third-party financing, so I just want to cover it. Here's the easiest thing, because I'm all about talking. When you talk to me, I like you to talk to me like I'm a golden retriever. I'm not that smart, and I like people to talk to me and just tell me what time it is. I don't need to know how the watch is made. So let me just nut it down on the third-party financing addendum. Page 1 is always going to be the loan amount. Whatever's in 3B boy of the contract will be on the first page of third-party financing. The second page will basically usually be left alone unless it's FHA or VA. FHA or VA requires on the second page, there's a $sign for you to put whatever is in 3C of the contract. So it's pretty easy. Page 1 will always be 3B boy, and only on FHA and VA on page 2, you'll also put whatever's in 3C. If it's cash, you don't use it at all. If it's loan assumption, you don't use it at all. If it's seller financing, you don't use it at all. And most of y'all haven't done seller financing. And on paragraph 22 of the contract, I've already checked marked third party and HOA addendum or property owner association. Those are your most 2 common forms that will be attached to an offer. So I don't think you'll be marking seller financing, but if you do, you need to know that that means that the seller is the lender and you won't use third-party financing, which means you would also unmark it in 3B boy and paragraph 22. And then you would mark seller financing, which is underneath the third-party financing addendum in paragraph 22. And then you would attach a seller financing addendum. All right, coming soon. Sometimes y'all ask me about coming soon, incoming, and I'll be straight up. I like you to reach the source. And that means you call CCAR, ask for the MLS department. They give you an answer like that. So again, I'm not a know-it-all. I like to refer questions because it's very fluid with the board, and sometimes they change the requirements on coming soon. So just know you should have in your phone a few numbers: CSS, Collin County Association of Realtors. You should have Supra's phone number for your e-key. You should have Zip Form's phone number. You should have the MLS department, which you get through by calling CCAR and asking for MLS. You should call the title company for any title questions. You should call the lender for any financing questions. If the lender says they want something done, don't ask me, because they're the ones that have the underwriter that's going to approve whatever they tell you to change. So it'll have to be done in accordance with what the lender wants, not Doug Smith. Okay. And then, of course, the listing agent, if you're a buyer's agent, they have a lot of questions that you sometimes ask me about. Hey, Doug, does a chandelier stay? Ask a listing agent. Hey, listing agent, does the chandelier stay in the dining room? No? Well, then you know to put it in paragraph 2D Delta, exclusions. Hey, Doug, the playground in the backyard, I can pick it up with my pinky. Does it stay? I don't know. Guess who would know, though? The listing agent, because they spent an hour at that house probably asking the seller about it when they listed the home. And if they don't know, they can find out quickly by texting the listing agent. I mean, the seller. And then you would know on that playground to put it on a non-realty addendum, which is in your transactions under documents. And you would mark paragraph 22, and on the right column at the bottom, you'd mark other and type in non-realty and attach the non-realty addendum. Put $1 in the non-realty addendum next to the $sign, and then type in seller to leave chandelier, or not chandelier, seller to leave playground equipment in the backyard, seller to leave dining room table. And that's what you would do it on. Paragraph 9, I've been looking at some contracts, and paragraph 9 is blank, which means you're not reading the contract. So my challenge to everybody that's watching this is take this week or Memorial Day, which is a week from Monday, print a 1 to 4 family contract, read every word of every paragraph. And you might just say, oh, hey, there's 10 pages. I'm going to read 1 page a day. 10-day challenge. Read 1 page a day from the first word to the last word. And then think about it after you read it. Don't just read it for the sake of reading it. But paragraph 9 is the closing date. And it says closing to be on or before. On or before. So let's say you put June 11th, which is the best day of the year. And now the closing is going to be June 9th. Well, call the title company and the lender and ask them if you're good with the fact that it says on or before June 11th. They might say yes, or they might say put it on an amendment and change it to June 9th. That would just be paragraph 3 on an amendment. But you don't have to ask me. If you're going to change the closing date, you need to ask the lender and the title company, because they're kind of the checks and balances of this transaction getting to fruition and fully executed. So you just reach out to the title company and the lender. Hey, we're now going to close it on June 8th instead of June 11th. What do you need? Oh, we're good, because the contract says on or before in paragraph 9. Oh, we need the amendment, paragraph 3, put June 8th, get everybody to sign it and date it above the signature, and then send it to everybody. That's it. So some of these questions that y'all are sending me via text, I mean, I'm easy to answer, but I'm going to make you work for them. I'm not going to give you the answer, because if you work for the answer, you won't ask me this question again. But if I just give it to you, I'm basically fishing for you on your boat. And one day I ain't going to be here. I'm going to fall overboard and drown, which is my death. And I'll be worked on like a CPR. And you're going to have to go, damn, you know what? I love Doug's company. And I think I could stay here with the leadership team he has. And he might not be available, but you know what? I can use some common sense. I can put it on GroupMe and put my cell phone after it. I can look at the YouTube DHS Realty that'll last forever and go to playlist, and he's probably got it answered. Or friggin' I could read the contract. And it's crazy when you read a contract, it actually tells you, like, there's not answers that I have that aren't in the contract. I don't make up answers that aren't in the contract. So if you want to know that the earnest money is due 3 days at midnight, read paragraph 5. If you want to know that the right to terminates at 5 p.m., read paragraph 5, B-boy. That's termination. It says a blank number of days at 5 p.m. the buyer has the right to terminate. So let's invest in our future. If you want it, if you want to succeed more than you want to breathe, then you're going to get there. It's just that simple. I mean, I love the Marines because I watch a lot of movies on Marines, and they can do anything. And when I say anything, like they could take this door apart that I'm looking at in my house. They could put an IKEA project together with 8,000 pieces and not have one screw left over. They could take this thing apart and put it back together again. Um, you know, and I always like to think like I'm not a Marine. I didn't serve in the military. I don't have any relatives immediately that did. And so, but that doesn't mean that I can't look at them as mentors and say, hey, they're better than me for sure. But if they can do it, I mean, they have a human heart and it beats like mine. By God, I'm going to learn how to do it. There is enough resources to know how to do almost anything. So I just want y'all to start leaning on yourself a little, as well as lean on me and Lola. And we got Sean Riken, we got Dave Wilson, Dustin Ray. These are all people that they're coming along and they're happy to help. Is earnest money required on a cash transaction? I already covered that. So I think that's about it. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands, and I'm going to end with this, is that there's a lot of resources for you in real estate. The lender, get in touch with them for a lender question. The title company, get in touch with them for a title question. The listing agent, get in touch with them for a seller question or an answer to the buyer that wants to know something about the house. Call the HOA if you have an HOA question about the house you're about to offer, because on the seller's disclosure, it says the HOA phone number. Supra, I mean, you can Google Supra on the internet, Supra E-Key's phone number. You could go to YouTube and they have Supra videos on how to open a key box. MLS, you'd have to call Collin County Association of Realtors and you simply ask for the MLS department. Anytime something doesn't work that you have is probably because you haven't paid your board dues or your MLS. I'm not going to be the one that knows that. You need to call the board, and that's going to be 972-618-3800. But again, all these numbers I have in my phone, I have them as favorites. You've got to put your livelihood in your phone. It is, minus you, your biggest commodity. There is no bigger commodity in life than you. And the second biggest commodity is your iPhone. The third is your family and your support system. And then right underneath your family should be DHS management, and that you can rely on us. But I think every one of y'all are doing incredible. I love this firm. I've got a lot of haters, but I love it because they're following me and making comments, and I just block them. I don't need them in my life. And I hope that you do the same for people that don't want to watch you succeed. Life is too short. We're here for, I mean, I think it was Dustin Ray or somebody like, or Baja, we're a speck of sand on the beach, and I'm about to go to Mexico. And I mean, you think about the sand on the beach, but then it goes into the ocean, and the ocean takes up 3/4 of our, 3/4 of our globe. The ocean does. And just think about all the sand that covers almost 3/4 of our world, and all the sand underneath the ocean. And we're one speck in that. So take yourself lightly. Don't take yourself so seriously. And if you have a hardship, if you have a problem in your family life, if you have a flat tire or getting a wreck, just know, man, it's not worth getting upset over. You know what? I've had trials and tribulations. I've had people try to sue me. I've been sued before when I was in oil and gas, and I knew I was right. And the beautiful thing about America is that free speech goes both ways. And so people can always say something about you. And hey, it's America. That's their truth. I've got some truths about people that they probably don't think are their truths. That's all right. Because we live in a country where you can have your own truth, and a judge can ultimately decide, the court of public opinion, or over time, your results will decide your truth and not anybody else will. So I love you guys. I hope y'all have a great Saturday. Come check me out in about an hour and a half. This is a Saturday sit down. I'm about to sign out, and I'll put it on GroupMe and YouTube. Y'all go get some this week.